It seems like some migrants, at least the ones from Central America, are already deciding on their own to go back out of fear that if they reach the U.S. southern border, their effort will not pay off. This is what the migrants told us.
That's what's driving me to go back. Because I can't press forward, not anymore. I have to find a way to return to Honduras. That's what's driving me to go back. Because I can't press forward, not anymore. I have to find a way to return to Honduras.
And in case you didn't catch the last thing the migrant from Honduras said, he told our reporter that he left his home country on January 20th, the very same day of the inauguration.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about what is a masterclass interview from Vice President JD Vance. Okay, I think Vice President JD Vance has a nice ring to it. JD is doing exactly what he was picked for, okay, which is to go on national television and to school these liberal anchors on the Trump administration, the Trump agenda, the policies, what is getting accomplished, and most importantly, to not be apologetic about what we're doing, okay? The last thing that you want to do in the face of the pressure from the mainstream liberal media and the woke revolutionaries is to be apologetic or to be ashamed of putting America first, okay? And what I love the most about JD Vance is that when he does these interviews, when he sits down and he talks to these reporters, you can tell that he's not apologizing for the policies. He's not apologizing for us doing what we got to do in order to protect the American people. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and react to, again, another masterpiece from JD Vance that has been sorely missed, okay? And I hope to see a lot more of these types of interviews from JD.
So still count on the federal government, but watch that space. Let me ask you about another area that you campaigned on quite a lot, and there was a flurry of activity on, and that has to do with immigration.
Sure.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops this week condemned some of the executive orders signed by President Trump, specifically those allowing immigration and customs enforcement to enter churches and to enter schools. Do you personally support the idea of conducting a raid or enforcement action in a church service, at a school?
Well, let me address this. Of course, if you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration. But let me just address this particular issue, Margaret, because as a practicing Catholic, I was actually heartbroken by that statement. And I think that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops needs to actually look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that when they receive over $100 million to help resettle illegal immigrants, are they worried about humanitarian concerns, or are they actually worried about their bottom line? We are going to enforce immigration law. We're going to protect the American people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump promised to do that. And I believe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, if they're worried about the humanitarian costs of immigration enforcement, let them talk about the children who have been sex trafficked because of the wide open border of Joe Biden.
You personally
let them talk
support
about
them going into
people like
schools
Laken
and
Riley
churches.
who were brutally murdered. I support us doing law enforcement against violent criminals, whether they're illegal immigrants or anybody else, in a way that keeps us safe. Let me ask this question, Margaret. Let's separate the immigration issue. If you had a violent murderer in a school, of course I want law enforcement to go and get that person out.
Of course.
So what's the point of the question?
You changed the regulation this week. That's the point of the question.
Exactly.
Giving the authority to go into churches and go into schools.
We empowered law enforcement to enforce
But
the
that
law
also
everywhere
has
to protect Americans.
Effect, a chilling effect, arguably, to people to not send their kids to school.
I desperately hope it has a chilling effect on illegal immigrants coming into our country.
You think the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops?
Yeah. So JD here, again, masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. Honestly, when JD got picked, I told you guys, I wasn't as disappointed as most people because I knew why Trump picked JD. But I got to admit, JD has turned out to be a lot better than I thought, right? Even though I thought he was good, I still thought it was a good pick at the time, okay? And the tape will back me up on that. But, I mean, he's just better than I could even imagine, right? I mean, looking back at it, it's like there was no better pick than JD, okay? And for these exact reasons that we're listening to with this interview. JD is not backing down from the Catholic Church, who, you know, has a financial incentive to come out here and to pretend as if they feel bad for the illegal immigrants and to, you know, beg for mercy on their behalf, okay, while trying to weaponize the Bible in order to do so. yeah, he said, listen, at the end of the day, we have to enforce the laws. Doesn't matter what the church says. Doesn't matter what the schools say. It doesn't matter what any of these entities say. We have to enforce the laws. And we have to send a message that no matter where you are, whether that's a church, whether that's a school, if you're here illegally, there's a chance you can be deported, right? And this is an important message because it makes it so the illegal immigrants feel like there's nowhere to hide. So a lot of them will just go back. They would rather go back than to live in fear, right? That's the point. That's the point. And it really blows my mind that the media, like, they don't understand that it's a very simple thing. We don't want to raid churches. We don't want to raid schools. We don't want to do that. In fact, there's probably not going to be that much of that, right? In reality, it's probably not even going to happen that much. But if it has to happen, then it will happen. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, oh well. But again, the people that are boo-hoo-whining and crying about it, just remember, these are the same people getting paid, right? They're getting taxpayer funds to resettle the migrants, to take care of the migrants. So while they're saying this is racist and inhumane, just understand that they're getting paid to say that, right? That's what they're paid to say. Just say it.
Bishops are actively hiding criminals from
I think the U.S.
law enforcement?
Conference of Catholic Bishops has frankly not been a good partner in common sense immigration enforcement that the American people voted for. And I hope, again, as a devout Catholic, that they'll do better.
There are 5 legal challenges already to one of these other immigration actions. The order on birthright citizenship. A federal judge appointed by Ronald Reagan, I think you'd agree, has some conservative credentials,
Sure.
paused the order to end birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. How do you reconcile this challenge to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution?
So I obviously disagree with that judge, and these things, some of them will be litigated. That's the nature of our constitutional system. But here's the basic idea of President Trump's view on this. If you are a lawful permanent resident or a legal immigrant who plans to stay, your children, of course, should become American citizens. But let's say you're the child of an ambassador. You don't become...
But that's not part of it.
Well, that is
already a carve-out
an
having to do
important
with kids of
principle.
diplomats.
But we're saying that carve-out should apply to anybody who doesn't plan to stay here. If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil. It's a very basic principle in American immigration law that if you want to become an American citizen and you've done it the right way, and the American people in their collective wisdom have welcomed you into our national community, then you become a citizen. But temporary residents, people who come in here, whether legally or illegally, and don't plan to stay, their children shouldn't become American citizens. I don't know any country that does that or why we would be different.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded
by... country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers, but just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship. America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first, and that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently, if you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would we make those people's children American citizens permanently?
Ding. Subject to the jurisdiction of. If you come here illegally, you do not have loyalty, aka you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America, okay? That's what citizenship comes down to. It comes down to loyalty, okay? If you're here illegally, you do not have loyalty to the United States of America. Again, this is not a hard concept to grasp. Now, a lot of people think that this birthright citizenship argument is settled. And it may be. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong about it. I think that they have misinterpreted the 14th Amendment, the citizenship clause, which was written by Senator Jacob M. Howard, who at the time clarified that, hey, this is meant for formerly enslaved individuals. Okay, it is not meant for children of diplomats and members of Native American tribes. Okay. No. This is meant for formerly enslaved individuals. Okay. And at some point we have to decide that citizenship matters, that citizenship actually means something. Okay, because at this point, Democrats are trying to convince me that citizenship doesn't mean a damn thing. In fact, you're better off not being a citizen and coming here illegally, right? You come here illegally. Democrats just let you on in, give you a cell phone, some paperwork, probably a laptop, right? Put you on a bus, give you a nice little credit card once you got off the bus in a liberal city, a free place to stay in a 3, 4, 5-star hotel in New York City. Eat whatever you want, right? If you complain about the food, they'll go get you whatever. You can commit crimes. You commit crimes against the American people. They'll lock you up and then they'll put you back out on the street. And then they'll also protect you from the federal government, right? The federal government try to deport you. They'll protect you. All funded by the taxpayers, okay? These people get free health care. All that stuff. Everything. They're getting more than American people getting. So again, I'm trying to figure out what is the value of citizenship. That is what this is about. It's about letting the American people know that citizenship matters. We're going to put our citizens above everybody else, okay? Our citizens, Americans, are going to come first. Something that these people can't grasp this concept. But I think my main point in this video is look at the way that JD is handling this. This is what Kamala Harris was supposed to do for Biden, right? The things that Biden was doing, Kamala Harris was supposed to be able to go on the media and to take tough questions and to answer the questions the way that JD did. She was not able to do that. That's one of the main reasons why Biden's administration was a disaster, because his VP was really bad at making him look good, right? Because she wasn't good herself. She looked bad, so she made Biden look even worse than he already looked. JD's ability to handle these interviews, to answer the questions in a way that is articulate and unapologetic and that puts the American people first. This is why he's such a great VP pick. The number one job of the VP, the number one qualification of the VP is to make the president look good. That's it. That's it. And Kamala was horrible at that, right? So when people want to talk about qualifications, right? This is why, I laugh and I chuckle when these people talk about who's qualified and who's not qualified. The people on the left. As if Democrats know a damn thing about that. I mean, look at the clown show running their administration. I don't care what Kamala's credentials were at the time. She was a senator. She was a DA, the attorney general. They said, oh, she was the most qualified vice president ever. But she wasn't qualified to do the number one thing that vice presidents are supposed to do, which again is to make the president look good. To do interviews like this with the media. She wasn't good at that. And that was the number one qualification for the job. This is why she is one of the worst VPs in history. Despite all of her qualifications. This is why she was unqualified. She couldn't even get the Democrats to like her during the primary in 2019. And this is when the Democrats they were all in on the far left, right? She couldn't make herself look good. She couldn't make her own people like her. So how can she make Biden look good? How can she make people like Biden? Which is, again, the number one requirement of the VP. That's the number one requirement. Make the president look good, right? And JD Vance is amazing at that. Kamala Harris was terrible at that. That's the funny part about all this, right? They were talking about how qualified Kamala was. She was the most unqualified VP candidate ever. And we saw that during the 2019 primary. And then we saw it again when she took over for Joe Biden and ran one of the worst presidential campaigns ever. Blew $1.5 billion just to get landslided by Trump. So shout out to JD. This was the perfect response. We cannot be apologetic in the face of the backlash from the media because they're trying to pull at your heartstrings. They're trying to make you emotional. Okay, this is why they're talking about ICE invading churches and schools and stuff like that. They're trying to turn you against the largest mass deportation operation that we've ever seen. This is what they're trying to do because they know that the American people are on board with it. So these are the tactics, and that's what people got to understand what's going on here. So again, shout out to JD. Great job in his interview. This is why he was picked to be the VP. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.